Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi folks, Steve Charles here. Just want to tell you about my new book, Cecilia, which is out now on Amazon. You can get the paperback copy, or if you like reading ebooks, you can get it on Kindle as well. And if you like listening to the story, there is no audiobook, but if you download it on Kindle, it will read it for you. Cecilia has always suffered nightmares, but now they have turned into something more terrifying as men begin to vanish without a trace into the dark canals and vast Venetian lagoon. She finds herself drawn into a mystery that whispers through bloodlines and shadows. Something ancient is stirring. As the city holds its breath, the question remains, is she the key to saving the beautiful floating city? Is she? You'll have to find out. In my new book, Cecilia, I'm going to read you the first chapter now, and if you like what you hear, then maybe you want to hop on Amazon and have a look. I'll put the link below. Venice in February was colder than usual this year. Known as the Lovers' Month, it seemed all the warmth and romance had been stolen. Heavy grey clouds loomed over the city, shutting out the sun. On the Grand Canal, taxi boats and ferries cut through the choppy, frigid waters. Gondoliers huddled together on the shore, cursing the bitter chill that seeped into their bones and drove away customers. A sea mist had settled days earlier, clinging to narrow side canals and small plazas. Normally, a breeze from the vast Venetian lagoon would have cleared it by now, but the wind had failed to arrive. It was the same in Lido and on the islands of Murano, Burano and Malamocco. The entire watery expanse lay shrouded, motionless and grey. Tourists grumbled, disappointed by the damp, colourless gloom that dulled the city's iconic vistas. Behind closed doors and shuttered windows, the residents of Castello whispered of bad omens. On Burano, fishermen muttered about strange tides, empty nets, and depleting mussel beds. The fog dimmed everything. Canal markers stood like ghostly sentinels, and even the toll of cathedral bells was muffled, suffocated in the damp air. Yet one young couple wandered hand in hand through the labyrinth of alleyways, paying little attention to the bleakness. Occasionally they would pause atop one of the city's 400-plus bridges to kiss or embrace, lost in each other as young lovers often are. To them, the mist and stillness were not oppressive, but intimate. Strangers passed like phantoms, insubstantial and otherworldly in the fog. They had met only 6 days earlier in Rome, seated at a cafe with a view of the Colosseum. A flamboyant waiter had theatrically boasted he made the best coffee in all of Italy. His exaggerated gestures, sing-song voice, mischievous look, causing the girl to giggle uncontrollably. The boy, amused by her laughter, turned and their eyes met. "I shouldn't laugh," she said, still giggling, "but he's so fabulous." He chuckled and then asked if he could join her. She paused before smiling and nodded. He shifted his chair to her table. "Ah, so now you are ganging up on me," the waiter quipped humorously as he returned with her coffee, hand cocked dramatically on hip. The girl tried to apologize in broken Italian, but he waved her off with flair. "Bambina," he said before referring to himself in the third person. "Giovanni is too fantastico to be offended by such a disrespect." He pirouetted on the spot and swished away, wiggling his backside for effect. They had spent the afternoon talking about travel, about places they had visited or dreamed of seeing, about home. Dusk bled into evening. Every now and then Giovanni would return with more coffee. Later they ordered pizza. At the end of his shift he strutted off into the night calling "Ciao" and pocketing his tip with a wink. When it was time to part, the girl had asked if he wanted a drink at the bar below her accommodation. The morning found them still awake, whispering softly, wrapped in each other's arms. Over the next 2 days, they explored the ruins of the ancient city and found a bond and connection that surprised them both. Each night they returned to her room to make love and fall asleep entwined. "So it's goodbye tomorrow," she said wistfully on the third evening. "Doesn't have to be," he replied quietly. feeling an ache bloom in his chest. He didn't want to lose her. They lay together, fingers tracing skin, reluctant to separate. "Come to Venice with me," he blurted. She laughed softly, unsure if he was serious. "No, I mean it. Come to Venice with me," he repeated. "I have 4 days accommodation. My parents booked it as a graduation gift. A whole flat to ourselves." She hesitated, tempted. "Come to Venice with me," he asked again, his voice gentler, sincere. At first she said no, it was impossible, but something deep inside her wanted to go. She looked into his eyes, shining like stars, and felt the warmth of his hands, the quickening beat of his heart. Searching his face, she couldn't deny the pull he had on her. Eventually she whispered in his ear, "Yes." The next morning they boarded the high-speed train at Rome Termini and sped diagonally across Italy to the floating city, the city of bridges, beauty and romance, Venice. Now, 3 days later, they had fallen, truly fallen, in love. Not a whirlwind holiday romance, but something deeper, something real, 2 hearts, twin flames. The dusk had settled as they sat together on a small wooden jetty off a quiet side canal. Around them, crumbling brick houses with shuttered windows and wrought iron balconies. Winter flowers bloomed in long terracotta planters, and the mist created a soft, romantic glow. He sat with his legs dangling over the water. She sat cross-legged, leaning back on her hands, the water lapping softly beneath them. "I could stay here forever," she murmured, gazing into the fog. "I know," he replied just as wistfully. Overhead, one of the shuttered windows creaked open, the golden light of a lamp glowing through the mist. The girl looked up and heard a thud, followed by a splash. She turned to the boy, but he was gone. Then she noticed bloody strands of hair snagged in the splintered edge of the jetty where he had been sitting only moments before. Below, something disappeared into the black water. No sign of the boy, just backwash. Then came her first scream. Raw, involuntary. Panic overtook her. She peered into the darkness, frantically searching. Something had taken him. Something had dragged him into the depths with hardly a splash, tearing hair from his scalp as his skull struck the timber on the way down. Overhead, the figure appeared in the window. Muffled footsteps echoed inside the building. Someone was racing down the stairs toward her. And that's the end of chapter 1 of Cecilia. Orator.